Hello, my miracles. It is another Coffee and Crime episode for you this week. So go ahead and grab your coffee and we're going to jump right into it. Madge Oberholtzer was born on November 10th, 1896. She grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana, and she would go on to study zoology and logic at Butler College in Irvington, Indiana. However, she would drop out at the end of her junior year, not stating why. Madge would become the manager of the Indiana Young People's Reading Circle, a special section of the Indiana department which helped combat adult illiteracy. Yet rumors began to spread that her job was in danger of being terminated and that the reading circle was going to be eliminated, which worried Madge. Around this time, 29-year-old Madge would meet D.C. Stephenson, the then Grand Dragon of the Indiana Ku Klux Klan, on January 12, 1925, at a party. They began dating shortly after that first encounter. With her using her connections with the reading circle, she would pass messages back and forth from Stephenson's office to his friends. Madge would eventually end her relationship with Stephenson. It was not explained why she had ended the relationship. Yet on March 15th of that same year, Stephenson's secretary would leave a message for Madge at her parents' home. She returned the call, and Stephenson claimed that he could protect her job and the reading circle. Madge slipped on a black velvet dress and was picked up by a bodyguard of Stephenson's. She was escorted to his mansion only a few blocks away. Upon arrival, Madge was forced to drink whiskey until she became sick. Stephenson then took a revolver and forced Madge to approach him at gunpoint. Later, Madge was forced into Stephenson's car, where he then drove to his private train. He told his associates he was headed to Chicago for a business meeting. As Madge entered the train's compartment coach, Stephenson would rape her repeatedly, biting her all over her body, even biting her tongue. Madge was still intoxicated and unable to fight back, and she would eventually pass out. Upon waking, Madge screamed, "The law will get their hands on you." Stephenson, having Klan connections, laughed at her and stated, "I am the law in Indiana." What came next after the assault was heartbreaking. Madge was redressed and told they would be staying in Hammond, Indiana, at the Indiana Hotel. Madge was forced to say she was Stephenson's wife so that they could stay in the same room. Stephenson then forced Madge to write a telegram to her mother stating that she was going to Chicago with him. Madge would then try to kill herself with Stephenson's revolver as he slept, but feared it would dishonor her mother. Somehow, Madge convinced Stephenson she needed to buy a black silk hat and some rouge, probably to cover up the horrible bite marks she had endured from him. Instead, Madge would purchase an entire box of chloride tablets. She managed to swallow only 6, which caused vomiting of blood for the remainder of the day. Stephenson would panic and take Madge back to Indianapolis. When asked what happened to Madge, it was stated she had gotten into a car accident. Madge's parents immediately called the doctor. On March 28th, Madge would tell what had happened to her in a signed statement. And sadly, on April 14th, 1925, Madge Oberholtzer would die from a staph infection caused by the bites plus kidney failure from the tablets. Stephenson would be tried on charges of rape and second-degree murder. The doctor testified that the injuries Madge had received were sufficient enough to have caused her death, as her wounds developed infections that reached her lungs and kidneys. Stephenson was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. The murder of Madge destroyed the KKK in Indiana, with more than 178,000 members leaving. Stephenson would name officials who had accepted bribes and payments from the KKK. This led to several high-ranking officials to resign when they were facing charges. The twist in this horrible crime was that Stephenson would get paroled in 1956 on the condition he would leave Indiana and never return. Yet in 1961, he was arrested in Tennessee at the age of 70 for raping a 16-year-old girl. However, the charges were dropped due to insufficient evidence. Stephenson would die in 1966. I hope you liked this episode of Coffee and Crime. If you did, hit that like button. And if you are not a miracle and want to be, click that subscribe button, watch a miracle happen, and I will see you guys tomorrow for my new abandoned series, Remains. Love you guys. Bye.